Welcome to Frequency, for women expanding into their next level selves and moving with intuitive clarity and planetary alignment as they do. I'm Caprice, identity mentor, astrologist, and intuitive guide. Your frequency is your energetic signature, how you think, decide, and move. It's your authentic self dialed in. Every episode serves to sharpen that frequency, expanding your capacity to hold your vision and take bold, authentic action towards your manifestations. High standards, high signal, high frequency. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Frequency. I have some exciting things to share. You may notice that there's video. Welcome to video. Welcome to YouTube. Welcome to a fuller production of this show, an extension of my business and my creative outlet. I'm very excited for that. And welcome to this episode that is all about Pluto Retrograde, which began this month in May and is lasting until October, and is a huge piece, a huge layer, a huge required rite of passage into liberating your next identity and how you are moving forward into the next chapter of your life in the frameworks of Pluto and Aquarius, which is a huge transit. It is a 21-year span of your life that has everything to do with empowerment, innovation, authenticity, your authentic self, and liberating yourself within your world. This year's all about the up level, and I've been discussing it. It has everything to do with Leo, Aquarius, the Aries reset button that was pushed in March, and Gemini. And so I'm going to continue to speak to these as we continue to move throughout the year. And now we're at the point where Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus and Gemini are they're singing a song together. And I've seen a lot of doom bait, astrological doom bait online about Pluto retrograde. Maybe it's all tea and all shade. I think everybody's getting their astro information from ChatGPT, and it's just lacking the wisdom and the nuance and the intuitive scrying. You know what I mean? I want to speak to Pluto retrograde as a point of liberation and expansion, and look at how it's actually so harmonious right now. But let me take a sip of my tea, and also welcome to my space, my home. Before we begin, I also want to mention that I've been sharing a lot recently about the collective shifts happening astrologically and energetically. And if you're wanting to understand how these patterns are specifically impacting you, you need to know your timing and your patterns and your blueprint. So you can book a live session or a reading with me directly. And if you're looking for a deeper understanding of your blueprint, specifically, you want to decode your chart, your patterns, your purpose, your timing, and the larger themes shaping your life, I also offer Your Chart Decoded. So, which is a personalized deep dive into your chart and energetic architecture that also I rope in numerology. I'm all for timing and patterns. So both are available through the link in the show notes. Book with me to understand how you specifically are impacted and how to really use this timing to your advantage to reach your goals, become more magnetic, manifest faster. That's my take on it all. So let's talk Pluto retrograde and liberating your next identity and how this is helping you. I know that when we think of retrogrades collectively, there's a unanimous decision that we hate retrogrades. I love them. I love a retrograde. I mean, you're telling me that a planet is going to pause for a moment, comb backwards, refine, polish, clean up, review, reassess, restructure some area of my life, that sounds like I have a team that's working for me. That sounds great. Does it always feel great? It does not always feel great. And with Pluto specifically, we're talking about our farthest out planet, a far outer planet that is associated with Scorpio. So we're talking about a scorpionic planet that is a planet of deep internal impact. Pluto represents a passage into the underworld, and we can look at that as, our personal underworld, which would be our unconscious self, the subconscious self, what is buried, what is beneath the operating conscious surface level. So you operate day to day at this surface level, and by surface level, I don't mean that it's fake. I'm just saying that it's obvious, it's operating, you're in awareness of it, it's action oriented, right? And then Pluto deals with the nuance and the layering and the non-linearness of you beneath that surface. For example, activating and being a part of your subconscious space, knowing that subconscious space decides about 90% of your decision making. That's your subconscious space is the compass for your decision making, and Pluto's directly going deeper into that space for the next 5 months. And this is deep work. It is shadow work. It is a way to focus on, it's a period of deep introspection. It's a period that is focused on transformation. Wherever Pluto is, even in your natal chart, that is transformation. That is where you're able to transform. It's also where you have deep work to do, and deep feelings or trauma. Could also represent some past life information, which I love looking at everyone's past life in their charts. But Pluto is about power dynamics, shadow work, power dynamics, power in general, themes on being disempowered and then reclaiming power. And when we have Pluto retrograde, we're looking at course correction. We're looking at a correction. It's like, I don't know, it's like when you break a bone or something to that effect. It's an excavation. It's like a medical excavation is what it feels like. It's like a surgeon or a doctor having to reopen the wound to go in there because it's infected. And to get the maximum healing, you need to reopen the exact point of discomfort. And that's Pluto's job. And I mean, who would raise their hand right now and be like, I would love to get uncomfortable for 5 months? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to be uncomfortable for 5 months right now. We're not in the mood. The world's, what do you mean? But we want transformation, don't we? We want change. We want up-leveling. We want rebirth. And so how are we going to get that without discomfort? We have to exit the comfort zone. And how are we going to get those major personal changes if we are not willing to look at the operating system itself beneath the surface, look at the motherboard and say, let's rewire some things here. And so really what we have here is a gift of a 5-month fast track, an accelerator period to rewire this hidden space, this transformative internal space, right? Initiating major outward changes. And yes, making us uncomfortable by looking at, evaluating, holding space with what is unpleasant about ourselves. looking at the past, looking at decision making, and discarding outdated beliefs, purging the baggage, the secrets, the parts of yourself that you don't want to admit that you think that way. You don't want to admit that you have a belief that is actually limiting you from your manifestation, right? But we want these things, these hurdles, these challenges. We want these points of density transmuted so that we feel lighter and we move faster and we are more aligned in our energy. And so let's now broaden the conversation here to the rest of the astrology. This Pluto retrograde is not just about generalized shadow work. It's specifically in relationship to Aquarian energies. So we're talking about, because Pluto's in Aquarius, there's a 21-year storyline that's occurring in your birth chart. And if you received your 2026 year ahead with me, I talked about all of that with you. And I will talk about it with everyone who books the 2027 year ahead. This is the last month to receive the 2026 year ahead and get your year decoded and get all this information. So Pluto in Aquarius is very specific to liberating your authentic, creative, most aligned, most progressive, forward-thinking self. The you that thinks outside the box. Aquarius is the highest octave air sign. We're opening up the antenna. We are empowering you to be radically yourself and without fear of judgment or inner criticism, and do things differently. It is so much about change. This Pluto in Aquarius is so much about change. So there's that layer of it. Then the other things to note are that we are in a very Aries fueled time frame right now. All of our planets moved. All of our outer planets have shifted command stations, right? And we have an Aries packed arena right now, and we have since that reset button was pushed, and we felt all of that in April. And so last month was big Aries energy. And what does Aries really rule? The body, the physical self, the identity, how you are born into the world and take up space, right? And then the other thing I need to mention is that Pluto is going retrograde, and it is in specific relationship having a very, very specific conversation with Uranus and Gemini. Very specifically, Pluto in Aquarius is talking to Uranus and Gemini, which is brilliant. Uranus rules Aquarius. Pluto and Aquarius get along really well. I stand by this as a very Plutonian Aquarius, that Scorpios and Aquarians are actually quite similar. So we have the Aquarian ruler Uranus in Gemini, new 7-year cycle just began. We have Pluto in Aquarius, new 21-year cycle just began in late 2024. We're still babies into it. And it's two air signs having this conversation. So, cautionary side of it, I'll just get this out of the way. Try to avoid overthinking. Try to ground your nervous system. Ground yourself as much as possible in the next 5 months. Ground your nervous system, nourish yourself, take care of yourself, pause. Can you do things a little bit more intentionally, a little bit slower? Because this is very fast moving energy. Fire is fast, air is faster. Your next level requires a different way of operating and a higher level of self. If you can feel that you're still making decisions from outdated patterns and it's keeping you from where you want to go, this is where we shift that. This is the work I do inside my 8-week mentorship. We clear what's in the way, recalibrate your energy, and move you into a place where your decisions are clean, aligned, and actually create momentum. I guide you through the lens of your blueprint, your timing, astrology, numerology, and intuitive insight, while shifting subconscious patterns and clearing your energetic field. This is for women who are ready to operate at a higher level and be fully responsible for the results that they create. If that's you, you can explore mentorship through the link in the show notes. I currently have 2 spaces open for June or July. And if you don't need a full container, but you know something needs to shift now, you can book a single session or a reading with me directly. Okay. And this is a year of fire and air. And when we're in the year of the fire red horse, which is brilliant. This year is a game changer. So Uranus being in Gemini, it was in Taurus for 7 years. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm sorry, Taurus risings, suns, moons, anyone with like dominant Taurus placements. And really for us all, we all felt it. That was not way to really just crack some eggs to make an omelet and make everyone super uncomfortable with Uranus moving into Taurus. Uranus rules Aquarius. So we have the planet that's considered like the great awakener. Is a disruptor. It brings shocking electric events and drastic change, pulling everyone out of the norm and outside the box. So we're all being pulled out this year. Let's round this up. We're all being pulled out of the comfort zones of our identities. And I'm speaking to this on the micro level because, of course, there's a collective impact. There's collective impact that can be felt and seen. I'm not going to speak to that right now because that's a whole other thing. But on the micro level, on the personal level, we are allowing ourselves to shed who we were and have this sort of relentless hunger and optimism for the truth of ourselves and releasing some sort of any chains that have bound us into any limiting version of ourselves and how we think and how we act and how we show up and who we are and who we say we are and how we step into who we are and how we become the person who is going to get the things done, right? So Uranus moving into Gemini is amazing. Fresh, brilliant, sparkly mind, new people, new ideas, new conversations. It's actually quite exciting and can get us really thinking about other solutions. And now Uranus is, and that's at 0 degrees Gemini, very potent, speaking directly to Pluto going retrograde in Aquarius. We have a really harmonious 5-month period here where universe, source, spirit is going to why do I feel like crying? Is going to ask you and present to you multiple opportunities to not backslide into who you were, that old operating system that doesn't support what you're working towards right now. It's going to bring up the tough things. And it's all about, for example, if this Pluto retrograde is happening in your, let's say it's happening in your second house, that's big. This is about self-worth. This is about your finances, and it's going to test you. Things are going to come up and it's going to test you. Are you going to commit to what you said you were going to do in your career, right? So this isn't doom and gloom. And I renounce anyone who's sharing that message. Yes, Pluto is a harsh teacher. So what? Grow up. We need friction. We need this. We need purging processes. We need to edit. We need to curate. We need to clear out. We need to reassess. We need to be as sharp as possible. And we need to be stronger, right? And we're made stronger by rooting down more deeply into ourselves. When there are periods of time where there are storms, let's say Pluto retrograde is like a storm. I don't know if I really want to say that, but it shakes things up. It makes us uncomfortable. What happens when periods of time do that to you is that you don't reach outward. You dig deeper. You descend into yourself. This is a sacred, empowering, liberating descent to be like, you know what? I'm going to sit in the dark and I'm going to face my shadow self. I'm going to say, listen, I love you. I get where you're coming from. we're not going to do this anymore. I'm going to spend the next 5 months rewiring a thought over that thought, rewiring a belief over that belief. And 5 months is a long enough period of time to create a new neural pathway. So like we need this. I need this. I trust it. I trust it fully. And I think that reframing Pluto retrograde and reframing the intense alchemical process that it provides. You know, I say this all the time, change is the only constant. The only certainty is death. I'm a, you know, I belong to Pluto, Jupiter, and Uranus. Like those are my like that's who I am. I am Pluto's girl. You know, I'm Jupiter's girl. So like I say, dive into the abyss, sit in the shadow, bring your light in there, and then your light is made brighter on the exit. We need the descent. Retrogrades are here to bring focus onto certain areas of our life and have us become more confident by a certain amount of certainty that's grown over time, right? We're there to, it's a retrograde. We're there to review, reflect, reassess. I say also rewire, reclaim, right? So we need patience here to be slow and steady and, well, to be grounded during this time. But I also need to say, because Pluto is having this direct relationship to Uranus and Gemini, Aquarius's ruler, there's teamwork here, and it kind of moves fast. The more willing you are to say, I don't know if you've ever seen, like, I saw a video, I don't know if it was an Olympian. I saw a video this year of a high performing athlete, and that right before they did something absolutely spectacular, award winning, whatever it was, they said out loud, I'm scared. I'm scared. So just say it, name it, transmute it into words, get out what you're scared of, and also say out loud and claim it in present tense. I am going to overcome this. I'm going to move through this. I'm going to transmute this into fuel to move forward. So yes, we need grounded patience and kindness and self-compassion here, but like, it's going to move fast. I'm telling you, come the end of October. I also want to say come once Jupiter moves into Leo, July, August, there's going to be a lot of reward for the ways that you have shown up for yourself, the ways that you have committed to this new identity, the ways that you have worked with your shadow. And I'll share this part of how I am. First of all, I'm logging into my routines, which, you know, as a spiritual teacher, as a meditation teacher, as a holder of ceremony, I've had so many spiritual disciplines. But right now, I wake up, I clear my space with sound and scent. I clear my body with sound and scent and vibration. I personally am working with archangels, and that's what I'm working with. So I'm calling on archangels. I am at my altar with my rituals and any spell work that I have that is active for the benefit of myself, my business, and I'm in awareness of my timing. I'm in awareness of how I'm personally being activated this year, which is so important to understand your timing, because I know the story. I know it's actually, I know I'm on time. I can validate my experiences, the fears that come up and the yearnings that I have. And I could say, no, that's not a side quest. I'm diving into that. That's not a side quest. I'm meant to bump up against that, because the big story is that my identity is being launched in a very particular direction. So again, if you would like to have deeper insight to that, please book with me. I have been loving talking about everyone's timing right now and providing readings and insight. I also want to say in a live session and also during the Ask Anything reading, you can bring up geographical locations. I do astrocartography as well. I'm telling you, I I look at the whole blueprint of you when we are when you're on my calendar, I see you, your numerology, your astrocartography, your blueprint, your timing, and then that intuitive edge, right? And then of course, you know, what the most practical, even mundane, actionable therapeutic steps, right? And support. So anyway, don't fear Pluto retrograde. It's here to help us. If you have questions, leave a comment, email me, chime in. Let's talk about it. I am going to have a series on my TikTok, and you'll also see it on YouTube Shorts. I have very specific messages for each rising sign about this Pluto retrograde, and I'm going to be sharing that shortly. Greatest advice that I could give you right now is to allow yourself to be cleansed through this process and go through this personal reckoning and go through this sort of internal rattle stirring that's coming up. Allow repressed layers of self to come to the surface. Be humbled, be flexible, be like bamboo. You want to be a Shaolin master right now. You don't want to be rigid. This is not the year to be like rigid. You can't like too controlling, not with fire and air. You want to be like bamboo. You want deep roots. You want fortified exterior, but you don't break when the earth shakes. You get what I'm saying? Okay. Until next time. If you're ready to enter 2026 with clarity, confidence, and a personalized roadmap designed specifically for you, my 2026 year ahead reading is now available. This is an in-depth, elevated personal guidebook based on your unique numerology, astrology, and the energetic cycles that define your growth in 2026. You're not getting generic guidance. We have enough of that. You're receiving a blueprint crafted specifically for your timing, your chart, and your higher trajectory. I also channel 3 anchored messages for you, highlighting what is to unfold within 2026, within your connections, your finances, success, career, your highest path and highest guidance available, giving you the taste, the theme of what is most important for your year ahead and how to really harness that energy. Get a powerful 60 to 90 minute recorded reading you can revisit all year long, so you always know what energy you're working with and how to make the most of it. This is personally something I do for myself and reference every quarter, especially in times of wobble or uncertainty. Anytime I'm questioning myself, I go back to my year ahead reading and I'm validated and I get back on track and I get my head back in the game. Trust me, this is the tool for 2026 that you'll reference all year as you make decisions, shift your frequency, and step into the version of yourself who leads her life with clarity, confidence, and intention. If you're ready to make 2026 your most aligned and intentional year yet, head to frequency.co. That's frequency, FRQNC.co, and book your year ahead with me. You will not regret it. Thank you for tuning into Frequency. If this episode sparked something in you, I would love to know. Reach out to me. Everything's in the show notes. Until next time.